Good morning, everybody. We give the participants just about 60 seconds from till about 10:01 so that everybody can get in here, but then we are going to get started straight away. Um, Okay, everybody, we are going to get started today. We are so excited to talk to you today about mortgage customer journeys. And this may not be something that you have spent a lot of time thinking about before, but it's actually incredibly important when it comes to truly understanding who you want to sell to and how you want to sell to them. Today, we're going to be going over what ideal customer profiles are, customer journeys in general, how to identify your ideal customer profile, how to create a persona, why borrower intelligence really makes such a difference when it comes to how to use data to create these profiles. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how data really impacts the way that you market to people when you happen to have access to it. So let's start with what is an ideal customer profile? Basically, this is simply a definition of who someone is before you sell to them. So if I came to you today and I said, in 2021, who is going to be the very best home buyer for you? Based on your years of experience, based on what you like doing, what do you think this person would look like? And why are you the ideal person for this person to work with? A great example of this might be a 55 to 60-year-old, very experienced loan officer who decides that their area of expertise is probably going to work well when it comes to reverse mortgages. So they become really enmeshed in that part of lending because not only do they have some experience working with people who may be ready to make that decision next. And they may have an entire database of people that they've helped over their career who are now a good fit for that. But they may feel like their experience and their place in life might be a better fit for that. And so it helps us to really understand who we want to sell to. When it comes to these questions, and I think almost all questions when it comes to like the beginning of a year, it's a good time to go back and really figure out who you worked with last year. Taking a look at the real data, not just kind of the data that's in your head, because as we all know, we don't make the best witnesses for things. We can say, oh, yeah, I closed, 54 units last year, 30 of them were refinances, 24 weren't. And these 24 people were all first time home buyers. There's like a couple other people in there. But what we really want to do is ask ourselves the real questions. What were the genders? What were the ages? Did they have sort of a common background? Were they from a common place? Are you doing mostly very like regional lending? What were their occupations? Where were they moving to? What behaviors did you know about them during the course of their loan? What was their income? What was their education level? How ready were they to buy when they found you, if they were, a specific type of buyer, and then whether they were leasing or buying? That sounds like a crazy amount of data to know. And yet you actually technically know almost all of it. And all of it can be easily learned for each person. As we move forward with lending and especially borrower intelligence, we're going to have a lot of data on each and every person. And being successful in sales, it means that your call is the warmest one. Having this much information helps you plan a strategy for how you're going to sell to those people. Let's take a look at what this ideal customer profile essentially becomes, which is that you have a buyer persona. Now, if you're in marketing, and most of the things that we've spent the last 7 years now working on was, who are our buyers? What is their persona? How do we speak to their specific needs in order to make sure that they know that the loan officers we represent are giving the best information for them? So the personal information is a lot like the information I just ran over with just their 101, the very simplest things to find out about them. And then really understanding what they do. There are a lot of people who put a concentration for their business on a specific niche. There's people who do doctor's loans. There's people who do divorce loans. There's people who do first time home buyer exclusively loans. And so we want to make sure that we know what their profession is and how that impacts what they're going to do. And if it at all impacts how you are going to be reaching out. What are their goals and what are their challenges? Again, incredibly important information that we happen to put in front load at the beginning of the campaign, because you understanding what their goals are, that's got to be the most important piece beside whether or not they qualify. Are they going to have children? Are they planning to move in 3 years? Is this an investment property? Where are they in the world? Meaning, like, how are they getting information? Where are they looking at homes? Are they on Zillow? Are they out there looking for them by themselves? Are they active in their community? Are they, and I hate to say this like this, but I have to do it, are they influential with their friends? Do they have sort of a big sphere? Because tapping into one specific buyer can bring you 10 other buyers. And then at the bottom, I'm leaving these two for the end because I think that they're actually equally important, because there is an enormous emotional component when it comes to purchasing the largest thing you're ever going to purchase. What are they fearful of? And how do you speak to those fears? A lot of the things that that intent does is a lot of empathetic marketing, because we understand that not every decision that people are making is based on the most joyous moment of their lives. Right now, you could have people who are having to sell their home because, or, and buy a smaller home because they lost their job due to COVID, or they lost a loved one due to COVID. So we don't really know what people are going through, but understanding where they are is everything when it comes to your marketing. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that in just a moment. And then last but not least, is there negative info? There's not enough of this, in my personal opinion, and when it comes to your database marketing and lending, when it comes to negative info, because it's one thing to say, like, I don't ever want to work with that realtor again, and try not to. It's another thing to really tell yourself why this wasn't a good fit for you. Why did you give this person's name to someone else? What was it about it that really, if you had a personality conflict, if it just wasn't a good fit, what are those things? And then, also, if they feel as though they're never going to be able to buy a home, that's another piece of negative information that is probably a good thing for you to know, because you're either going to make that manageable or you're not. Why is it super important to lending? Well, we tend to be very um, open about who we do business with, and meaning any referral is what you want. And that's good. And especially if you have 2 or 3 loans in the pipeline. However, if you are looking to, let's say you're heavy in units, but you want to go for more volume, let's say that you just really want to understand people at a personal level, which is becoming more and more and more important because your job right now is crystal clear because you are someone who can help someone understand and go through the mortgage process in a personalized way, in a human way. There is technology that's going to be able to do these things, but selling that human component is everything. So being able to create maybe 3 or 4 buyer personas for the people who you want to have as ideal customers this year. And then being able to create the content that helps solve their problems. That's the next big piece. And I know that most mortgage companies are happy with hey, we've got a home buyer campaign that fits everybody. So somebody comes to us and they want a loan. It's like, our marketing is, thanks for choosing us to do your loan. We're excited to do your loan. Here's some white people with white teeth holding keys in front of a house. Let's do a loan. But that's not really helping you across the board. You need to really have content that is personalized and specific to people. Making sure you're answering the questions before they're asked. I can't say that enough times. Our entire system is based on asking questions before or answering questions before they're asked, because that helps save you time. It helps save your realtor's time. Giving meaningful education, incredibly, incredibly important. This is specific information based on your specific persona. What roadblocks can you solve? If somebody is in a lease, how do you put them on a lease that's the exact time, or put them on a campaign that's the exact timing for when their lease ends? How are you going to make a plan for those specific roadblocks? If they have credit problems, if they have employment, issues, how are you creating a game plan to market to that person after that? If your rates, are your rates competitive? Are you able to say, like, no matter what, I'm gonna close this loan? If they had children, how are you marketing differently to those people? And if you think that's not a big deal, my goodness, I can tell you there is a massive deal when you're talking about how to prepare children for a move, getting them involved and excited, making them part of the process. What is the personalized communication strategy for each buyer? That last line is probably the crux of this entire thing. If you are not creating a personalized communication strategy for each and every person who comes with you, will you lose money this year? Probably not. You probably won't. But you also won't really take your business to the next level. That is incredibly important. So, what is a customer journey? Basically, a customer journey is how you have a human being that is going through the process of wanting to purchase something. And then they feel like, am I going to compare and contrast this purchase? Am I going to shop around for who's going to help me with this purchase? Am I going to be looking around? What are the things I'm evaluating? And how do I get to the decision making phase of this journey? So, taking somebody from any human being that you would meet on the street and turning them into a closed borrower. How do you do that? What is the journey for each individual person? Now, you should be able to look out your window right now, pick out a person, and figure out, how would I sell to this person? You likely do that well because you are in sales, and being able to isolate what is important to a human being is what you're likely good at. However, understanding how those customer journeys are put together, it also opens up a lot of the things that you may not have thought about before. So if you're looking at your window and you see Doug, who's your neighbor across the street, they live in a 3 bedroom house, but they've got 6 kids. Doug is literally washing his car for the third time today so he can avoid his family. You know exactly how to sell to Doug, right? More space, a man cave, and apparently probably a nicer garage for his very clean car. But there are 3 steps that are typically in every customer journey, which is the awareness phase, which the buyer realizes that they have a problem. For most people right now, that is, the awareness stages. I've been in my house for almost an entire year. I'm sick of these walls. Here's what I would do differently in my next house. I might be interested in 2021 buying a new house. The consideration phase, which is where they really say, I can't live here anymore. I do want to, I know I need to move. Let's start looking online to see if there's any houses that we're even interested in. And then the decision phase, which is they're going to move forward. They are going to buy a house. They are going to get a home loan and they are going to choose you. And so, where we fit these people into the equation, or where these phases kind of fit in with these people, is really important because you probably have a lot of the number ones and the number threes, which is like, somebody's talking to somebody about being interested. Someday it's a lead that you purchased. Or it's three, which is like you've got a referral who needs a pre approval. They're ready to put a contract in on a house. Let's rock and roll. But understanding all of this is going to help you sell. When you know how many loans you closed in 2020, evaluate to how many were loans versus refis. Then take your list and figure out how old were your average buyers. Were they married or single? Who of those people did you like selling to? Who do you want to sell to in 2021? What's your marketing plan to help you get there? And where are you marketing? Where are you showing up for these customer profiles and what are you sending? From our point of view, this process is everything that we do every single day because we get to give them education, we get to give them solutions, and we get to give them the opportunity to work with you and make the best decision possible, right? We isolate the why. You want a house. Why do you want this house? What is it going to mean to you? Is it, you need more space because your family is growing? Do you need less space because you're an empty nester? What is your why for doing this? How are we going to make this accessible to you? Is it going to be easy application? Is it going to be making sure that we're asking them if they have a realtor yet that you can suggest? And the who is the question that you have to ask yourself because otherwise it's just everyone, and everyone isn't exactly the best way to market. But when you talk about a journey, I'm going to show you a few of our journeys so that you understand why this makes such a profound difference. So, in your head, I want you to think today, you take an application for someone and their credit score is 520 and they don't qualify based on credit. Now, you probably do one of a few things. One is you tell them you're sorry that they don't qualify yet. You'd be happy to work with them again soon and put them with a credit repair person that you work with. Two is you do nothing. They didn't qualify. You're on to the next fire. And three is something like we have here, which is we have somebody, they want to come and buy a house. We find out that their credit score isn't high enough. We automatically put them on the credit improvement campaign, which gives them a ton of information about how to reestablish their credit, how to dispute inaccuracies, whatever that happens to be. That can go on for 12 to 14 weeks while they're changing their credit score. And then we have all of the data intelligence that we need from the credit bureaus to let us tell you, hey, guess what? They did a good job. They got their credit score there. We let them know that it's time to pull their credit or pull their credit again. And we're letting you know that today is the day to get this person pre-approved. Now, you didn't lift a finger during that customer journey, but we did. We did all the heavy lifting in the background. But if you close that loan, and let's say that loan is $175,000, right? And you did none of the work for it because all of that entire journey was already established for you. That is a huge difference maker for the bottom line for you. During the education phase, so the buyers are going to be online, right? We already know this. They're online, they're on Zillow, they're on realtor.com, they're checking out houses. But they really do want a human being to be helping them. And that is such a huge component for you. And then they begin to compare different lenders, right? And maybe they compare real estate agents, maybe they compare lenders. They may be smart enough to go and find out rates at different places. They may be savvy enough to check with their bank before they talk to you. Or they may just really trust that because you helped them with a home loan before, that you're going to be a perfect person to do so in the future. Or that they trust their realtor enough to know that they would not refer you if you weren't a good egg. But they still are going to go through that sort of thought process and comparing and differentiating the different ideas and solutions that are available to them. And then last but not least, they're going to buy the house. How do we take all of the hesitation? How do we speak to the anxiety of going to bed at night, knowing you're about to make this big move? It really becomes our way of sort of counseling them through the process, just making sure that they understand that they can feel comfortable. But if they don't feel comfortable, that's okay too. That's normal to be nervous during this process. Making sure that you're speaking to them exactly the way that you would talk to them if you were their best friend, walking them through the situation. This is half of the campaigns that intent has. One of the things that we love to tell people is there are so many different buyer personas. Why would you just have one campaign? I want to speak to one thing really quickly on this, and that's the reason I'm sharing this slide today. The first thing you see in the top left corner is the change of life campaign. So let me tell you how incredibly tone deaf mortgage marketing can really be. You already know what it is like when there's automatic assignments of campaigns, and or you don't speak to anyone because you don't have campaigns for them. But let's just assume for a second that you have somebody who came to you because during 2020 their spouse left them for someone else and they have to buy their first place on their own. When you start sending over marketing with happy couples sitting on porches and families gathered around the kitchen table, you're just reinforcing what that person lost. Whereas if you send something like the Change of Life campaign, which really speaks to them about how beautiful change can be in your life, and acknowledging that not every single one of these transactions is going to be the happiest thing that ever happened. You are in touch and in tune with the human being that you're working with, and you're asking these people to trust you instead of technology because you're a human being. So as we move forward, speaking to people at the level where they are, finding them where they are, being compassionate, empathetic, all of this really makes a massive difference in your business. When it comes to how we create our customer journeys, I put a couple in here for you just so that you can see that we are not all talk. I guarantee you that. So this is the way we tell our clients. So we always market to their database, so it's not any issue. So what we tell them, we foreshadow all the database that we're always going to be looking for the most advantageous solutions for their financial health moving forward. And so we've already told them that. And then we see that the rates drop and we can see that this person is ready for a refinance. So we can automatically initiate a refinance campaign to talk to them about, what do we say? The solutions, right? All of the possibilities that they can have if they have a little bit of extra cash flow during this time. And then you can call the customer to establish whether or not they are going to be a good fit for a refinance, get that application in. The refi web show, the websites are always going to be reflective, as is the marketing of why this is a really good idea. And then you'll be telling them once again after the refinance closes, hey, it may be 6 months from now, maybe a year from now, but I'm always going to be keeping an eye on what is going to be the best solution for you. In that way, you become a true financial mortgage planner, right? You're saying, my job is to keep an eye out for this specific part of your financial future. And then last but not least ever is data. We've been talking a little bit about data. This is going to be the only topic we're going to be kind of covering in the years to come, because we know how much data helps us to market. We already know that. So right now we have all kinds of data elements that we receive from our vendor partners that allow us to create a vision for how people should be marketed to. But if you have, let's say, January, you have 6 people in your database put their house on the market, how do you have that information? Chances are you don't. We do. So we can reach out to those people and say, as we forecasted, we're always keeping an eye out with the best technology to make sure that we're serving you the best. We understand that you put your house on the market. We would love to get you pre-approved for your next home. Would today be a good day to talk? That's just one of a dozen different things that you can know about people in your database, which is why we tell people all the time that your days of having to ask for referrals or buy leads it could potentially be over depending on the size of your database and how much information you want to glean from it. So let's talk about some of the tips to help guide your clients as they're on this journey, and really some of the things that you can do to make sure that your customers' needs are being met. One is that you're creating a plan that's specific to your customers' needs and expectations. If you're using somebody like us, you clearly don't have to do that. But this is for people who may not be doing that. Two is, being able to warn the buyer that other lenders may try to contact them. That other lenders might, once you run their credit, that there could receive some trigger leads. Making sure that you're controlling the messaging that goes out to other people. And then be true to that plan. Make sure that you're educating them. Make sure that they understand what buying a house really means and what becoming a home buyer really is. Work in tandem with your buyer's real estate agents to prepare your buyer for everything that they need to do to move into the house. Let the buyer feel as though they're guided, but they're in control, as if they can opt in to expert advice. Solicit their feedback after closing with the goal of building your reviews up, and then continue to pour into that relationship with good information after the move. If you did that for every single customer, the change and the difference would be astounding to you. But I want you to also think about the kind of impact this has on your reputation. If you are well known in the business for being a uh, incredibly in tune, intuitive, understanding, empathetic human being who understands people's financial futures, is always looking out for what they need to do next. That's a really, really big difference. It personalizes the entire experience for people. One last little kind of look at what another customer journey can do for you. So here is Equity Watch. So you have a person in your database who you closed a loan for. And what we really want to do is we want to eliminate PMI for this person, right? Or we want to figure out how they're going to have enough credit to really buy a new house and have enough equity in their current house so that they can buy their next house, and or if they're going to be a really good candidate for refi. Again, these are all the steps that we take in order to make sure that that customer stays with you, does their refinance with you, or is so grateful to you for being able to refi out of having to pay PMI, that they're never going to go anywhere else. That is the end of our presentation today. I know that those are some new concepts for you for sure. If you're a current intent user, you don't actually have to worry about any of this at all, because we are doing all of that in the background for you. However, it is still a good idea for you to go through your database from 2020 and really isolate who those ideal customer profiles are, and write out a business strategy and game plan for 2021 where you're going to be able to really be forward thinking about who you want your customers to be, because you are able to make those decisions for yourself and not have just everybody be a lead or be somebody who you have to work with. You can follow us across all of our intent marketing platforms. And hopefully you will stick around for all this month for all these trainings that we're having. Yesterday, we did an overview of all the different kinds of marketing that a mortgage planner will eventually use. Today, we're doing customer profiles. And throughout the month of January, we have an awesome, outstanding educational calendar for you, because we know that the stronger we make you, the better you're going to be able to sell. So at this time, I'm going to take any questions that you may have. Please type those into the chat window. If you need to drop off the call, we are so grateful for you joining us today, and we look forward to talking to you next time. All right, friends. Well, it looks like I don't have any questions, but if you happen to have a question, go ahead and pop that in the chat window. I'll hang around for like 60 more seconds just to make sure that you didn't have a question that you didn't want to ask in front of everybody. But otherwise, we will plan to talk to you tomorrow.